I got to read this whole thing. Ready?
Good morning.
Good morning. West River Modified Union Education District 2019 Annual Meeting. The legal voters of the West River Modified Union Education District comprising the voters of the towns of Brookline, Jamaica, Newfane, and Townsend for pre-kindergarten through grade 12, and the town of Wyndham for grade 7 through 12 are hereby notified and warned to meet at Leland Gray High School Library in Townsend, Vermont on Tuesday, March 26, 2019 at 7 p.m. to transact any of the following business not involved voting by Australian ballot. Upon conclusion of the business not involved voting by Australian ballot, the meeting is to be adjourned and reconvened in all respective polling places hereinafter named for each of the above referenced towns on Wednesday, March 27th, beginning at 9 a.m. in Brookline, 10 a.m. in Jamaica, 9 a.m. in Newfane, 9 a.m. in Townsend, 10 a.m. in Wyndham. Polls will close in all towns at 7 p.m. There's no objection. I won't read the articles, although that will be quicker. So, no objection. We'll move on to Article 1, to elect a moderator. I'll now entertain nominations.
David Lebo.
I hear a nomination for David Lebo.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Now I gotta remember that thing I used to forget. Hearing no other nominations. Where did I got it? Right here. Hearing no other nominations. If there are no objections and hearing no more nominations, I declare the nominations closed and instruct the clerk to cast one ballot for David Lebo for moderator. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Article 2, to elect the following officers. I will now entertain nominations for the position of clerk.
I'll nominate Anita Bean.
Anita Bean's been nominated. Any other nominations? Second, don't need for vote.
Oh.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you, though.
No other nomination.
Any other nominations for clerk? Okay, seeing no other nominations, if there are no objections, I declare the nominations closed and instruct the clerk to cast one ballot for Anita Bean for West River Modified Union Education District Clerk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you, David.
I will now entertain nominations for treasurer.
Nominate Cynthia Davis.
I nominate Rick Higgy.
Rick Hagee's been nominated, and Cynthia Davis. Any other nominations? Okay, how are we going to do this?
Just the same.
Hand vote.
Hand vote?
We should do hand vote because we don't have checklists from every town here, so.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yes, sir.
Can I at least introduce myself?
That's a good thought. Generally, you're not allowed to say anything, but I always give, you may do a brief introduction, and so may Cynthia, but Cynthia's not here.
She's
She's not here, so, but you may give a brief introduction.
Brief introduction. I'm Rick Hagee. That way you can put a face to the name. Okay, that's something.
Okay, this is Rick Hagee.
That was brief.
Thank you, Rick. Good, that was good. Thank you. Okay, so we'll do a hand vote. All those, who's first? Cynthia was nominated first, so all those in favor of Cynthia, please raise your hand. We have one. All those in favor of Rick, please raise your hand. I believe Rick has the votes. Congratulations. Rick has now been elected treasurer for the West River Modified Union Education District. Article 3. To hear and act upon the reports of the school district officers. I'll entertain a motion on that. You would hear to act upon. You would move to accept the reports of the school district officers.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved. Kind of move down here. Second? That one does need a second.
Second.
Second down there.
Mike.
Yep. Okay, discussion. Now it's to you guys to discuss. It's been moved and seconded to accept the school district officers' reports. Discussion?
I move we accept the school district's report.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, a yes vote will accept the school district reports, a no vote won't. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes do have it. Article 4, to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting, although it would be non-binding. Did I skip Article 3?
No, just did it. That might be the wrong one.
You have last year.
You have last year's.
The minutes of last 2018 on top? No, I don't know. I don't know.
No, what you have in your hand, does it say April 3rd, 2018? Yep.
Yeah, that's last year's. Yep, that's last year's. Okay. So we're back to Article 4. Any other business? Anybody? Anybody? Now, the question I would have after this is, we're adjourning this meeting, or are we recessing this meeting? Where's,
It says in the things recess.
Yes, it's supposed to be adjourned until tomorrow.
adjourn? It does say adjourn?
Adjourn and recess.
Okay,
That's what the warning says, isn't
okay,
it?
then we shall adjourn. I did notice that upon the will be adjourned. Okay, so no other non-binding business to discuss? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd second it.
All those in favor? All those in favor? Yes, we adjourn? Aye. Opposed, no? Thank you very much. We'll see you next year. That's it? So just as an aside, the meeting is over, and I'm no longer moderator, I'm just a dude. So, just to explain that these other articles, Article 5 through 12, I think it is, right? Yes. Are to be voted on paper ballot tomorrow. Go to your respective towns at the appropriate times, and you vote by paper ballot on those. Just informing you, okay? When you see the sheet.
You did, didn't you?
The informational hearing was the 18th.
There's an end here, but there'll be one tonight at 2. That's why we're here.
Sorry.
Yeah, under any other legal business that may come before the meeting, we can answer any questions about articles.
Right, that's what that non-binding business part was.
They vote tomorrow, they will vote for the budget. But when the voting starts, count, make sure that the same amount of people that
We'd
voted
be
in town
happy
is the same amount of people that
to,
checked
talk
off.
about,
We bring them
answer
in,
questions
they're
about those articles.
Right, but we're
And then they'll
saying-
vote.
They won't change from what you vote on tomorrow.
Yes,
Which is
right.
weird.
But
We'd like to understand.
That's why we have the Australian ballot.
No, we got, when I was on board for 3 years, we voted, that's why the meetings were so big and hostile.
Right. I remember years ago, we had the
No,
police.
but that was, yeah, but that was when you did. Newbrook?
No,
All right, but what
Yes,
happened
but
is, I guess
you
they
still
went to
can
the
talk about
Australian ballot.
non-binding business. This is a
Because before you used to vote from the
townsperson
floor.
who comes to speak to you.
And the
That's
Australian
right.
ballot was,
That's exactly right.
right.
Yeah, and we
The
wanted the
Australian
Australian
ballot.
It
ballot.
doesn't matter if it's
People
legal
have the opportunity.
because
I didn't know we had.
we're not making any decisions, so there's no legality to it, is there? We're not going to be making any decisions. The other option, I guess, is to reconsider the motion to adjourn. Somebody who voted to adjourn, we'd have to have a 2/3 majority to take that away, and then we can reopen the meeting and then re-adjourn the meeting.
What's the dispute?
Excuse me?
What is the dispute?
The dispute is the fact that the meeting is adjourned,
Right.
and the portion of the meeting that was set aside to discuss the budget, nobody discussed anything. So we adjourned the meeting.
Right.
Now they want to discuss things. No? Excuse me, ma'am?
The last year's agenda was on our chair, so we didn't know that, yeah.
This year's.
So we didn't know, it just passed by that.
I think in our defense, that it would have been helpful to have had some indication that discussion on the other articles would be entertained in Article 4. It doesn't suggest that there.
I'm sorry, okay. Whenever town meeting occurs, at the end of every meeting, there's a section that anything can be discussed anywhere, right? Anything about anything at the end of the meeting, and that's been that way for 200 years. And so this is a standard statement that's put on at the end so that we can discuss other things. And
It may be
and then it says
standard,
right
but
below
it's
that,
not
March
explanatory.
27, 2019, ballot questions.
It may be standard, but it's not explanatory for some of us simpler folks.
I did my job.
It's simple, just have a two-thirds vote.
Yes, Paul?
So if I'm just going to the handout here, just for people that, you know, just so this is productive, and people that came out obviously have questions or want information. If you go to this for informational hearing, I mean, I'm reading it right there. It says that Vermont will also serve as an informational hearing to discuss Articles 5 and 12, which will be voted on, 5 through 12, which will be voted on the 27th. But it says that meeting will be on the 26th at 7. So that's what I think people are looking to have.
I agree. Article 4.
Let's just do that. So let's just have a meeting and get your first vote. I make a
motion.
Yeah, that's okay. You may do it. That's okay.
motion to re-adjourn. Don't write it.
Rescind.
Rescind the.
Rescind?
Rescind the adjournment.
Can't understand when three people talking at once.
That's what I'm saying. You can do it. I'm now not moderator. I will stand there, but meeting is over. Go ahead, and then we'll continue to talk. That's fine.
Can we re-adjourn?
Rescind the adjournment.
Operate on my foot.
Make a motion to reconvene, Joe? Can we?
We don't need
That one?
But you were just
Sure.
I think they're the same though.
said.
Sure, that way you can moderate the whole thing.
I would still moderate the whole thing. I would not walk away.
I don't have.
I was just saying that the official portion of the meeting is over, and then I can.
Well, go ahead. So, enter motion to reconsider.
Make a motion to
the-
reconvene for.
You have to have voted on the positive side. Did you vote to adjourn?
Do I need to?
Did you?
Did you?
Say the right answer. Or else I must find somebody else. Good answer. That's the right answer. Okay, I need a second also who voted to adjourn. Okay, now we need 2/3 majority to rescind the adjournment. Now, this reconsidering usually reconsiders a motion on the, not a motion to adjourn, so we'll see what happens here. So 2/3 people, raise your hand. All those in favor of reconvening the
Take care of
meeting?
that problem. Okay. now-
Wait, leave your hands up. I gotta count them all and then count everybody that's in the room. Good. 1, 2, 17, 18. Are you 19?
Because it's.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 27. Okay,
They
and
want to understand the budget.
I can do grouping and figure out 2/3 vote.
How many thousands?
Well, it's not right.
It's just been a.
It's not right.
You want to know?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33. Is that 2/3? Yes. Yes? Good. Okay. So the motion to adjourn is being reconsidered. The motion to adjourn is being reconsidered. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. All those opposed? Say
No.
yes. Wait a second. Yeah. We gotta go all the way back and reconsider number 4. We got a long way to go back.
Oh,
Right? I mean, if you want to do this legally, that's what I said before, we could just reopen the meeting again. Okay?
We reopened the meeting.
apple?
We haven't finished.
an orange.
No, we voted, we didn't vote. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything. You're right. We're on number 4.
We're at number 4 now.
We're at number 4.
So,
You're right. We're at number 4. Go. Go. Ask the question.
so now you can ask questions.
Now we can now find the
Sure,
answer.
go ahead.
Gloria Griselli, Newfane. Usually the board introduces themselves at a meeting like this so we can understand where you're coming from and who you are and what you're doing. So I would like that. And then this has been, for example, when I got here, this is when I saw this. So I'm not sure where we were supposed to have gotten this prior to that, and I used to be the town clerk of Newfane, so I have a pretty, and I used to be the clerk of the Leland and Gray board, so I'm a bit confused on where I'm missing everything. I know I'm retired and I'm up on the hill, and I kind of, but I do front porch forum religiously, and so I'm just really baffled with not being introduced to the board, and also having really no idea the implications for the town of Newfane of this whole new school district, and if we could come up with an acronym that we could really get a hold of, it would be great, rather than modified. Anyway, that's my request. Introduction and just some explanation and who's chairing and who could speak to the budget. Joe?
Just hang on. Okay, remember that there was an informational meeting for this exact same thing 2 weeks ago, right? Right.
Yes.
Okay.
We had a budget information meeting on
They had a budget information meeting 2 weeks ago. Now, they're more than happy to share as much information about the budget, but there was a budget. And then we reopened the meeting because there was confusion on what it said over here. And it said talking about ballot questions 5 through 12 as well. Okay, so that's really what we should focus. But anyway, introductions.
Certainly. I'm Joe Winring. I'm the chair of this board. I apologize. We got started and just got rolling, and introductions never kind of came in there. And you're right. We usually do that. As for where this is, it's posted in all the places that the warnings were supposed to be posted. I believe it went to every town clerk's office, and it was posted in Commons and the Reformer, probably. You know, I know that these budget booklets that I think have the warning in them as well. No, it's not in there. Okay, they were around because they were picked up. But anyway, that's it. I'm Joe Winrich. I'm the chair. We'll introduce the rest of the board members.
Al Clausen, vice chair from Townsend.
Ken McFadden from Newfane.
Leanne Jolson, Brookline.
Trish Scott at large, position by them from Townsend.
Lindsay Bertram from Newfane.
Mike Foley at large from Townsend. Drew Hazelton, Jamaica.
Lori Garland, business manager at Wyndham Central.
I'm Bill Antone, the superintendent.
Okay.
Hi.
All right.
So,
as for the second part of Lori's question, if you can call this the West River Educational District.
yes, yeah, just West River Education District is fine. Or modified unified union, but just leave that out. Yeah.
So could you just summarize, for those of us who haven't kept totally track of what's going on? Yeah, so there was Act 46 that said the school districts had to merge,
I know.
and it seems like some have merged and some haven't. There's a lawsuit, whether it's going to be in effect, it's not going to be in effect. And so where does that leave us? And then there's one town that has got to vote tomorrow, but they're voting, but they're not going to be in this district. So could you kind of some of that? Sorry.
Sure.
I know it's like 2 years worth of stuff. But.
Well, so Act 46 required the towns to study whether or not it made sense for them to merge. And so we formed an Act 46 study committee and studied it. And at the end of that, the study committee took a recommendation out and had the articles that the towns all voted on. And we said that it made sense to consolidate into one district, especially where we were already governing Leland and Gray as a combined district, as a union school. So it made sense. We knew.
Yes.
I'm sorry. we knew.
Thankful Lord.
We knew from the study committee process that Wyndham was not sure that that was the path they wanted to take. So in that merger vote, they were advisable but not required. And so the required towns did vote to merge. And so that's why we're a modified unified education district rather than just a unified education district. However, since Wyndham was part of the Leland and Gray Union School District, their 7 through 12 students are still educated here. And that's why Wyndham votes on the high school budget, because it affects students from Wyndham, but they don't vote on the elementary school budget because they have their own elementary school budget and they continue to educate their own elementary school students. If we were actually one whole merged district and we didn't have that, then there would just be one bottom line number budget that educated all children pre-K through 12. But because of that, it's split, so that we can have those two votes. There is a lawsuit, and Wyndham has also voted at their town meeting to withdraw from this district, the West River district, as well as the Leland and Gray district. And so, I'm not entirely sure what their ultimate plan is, but their town has voted to do that. Now the other Leland and Gray towns will have to decide whether they want to let Wyndham out or keep them. And
who would decide that?
the voters of those 5 union towns. So towns in Jamaica, Brookline, Newfane. And Wyndham's already voted, so they won't. But the other 4 towns, and they have to have affirmative voting in all 4 towns to be released from the Leland and Gray union. No, that they haven't even, I believe, they haven't even formally asked to withdraw yet. They're still in the 30 days from their town meeting before it's a certified vote and it's official. And then those town boards will have to actually go through that process.
And you said the required districts voted to go down.
So you said the required districts were voted to merge. So I'm assuming that's required by the state?
No, required was a piece in the articles. When the articles were written, you could either, it shouldn't be required, it's necessary. There were necessary towns and advisable towns. And if you were necessary and you voted not to merge, then the merger didn't happen. But if you were advisable, then it was, you could vote either way. And if you voted yes, you were in. If you voted no, you were out. And we knew
Newfane and Brookline were the necessary towns.
Yeah.
Can you say that loudly enough so that?
Newfane and Brookline were the necessary towns. Townsend could have voted no, Jamaica could have voted no, and this district still would have voted.
And who made them necessary?
The Act 46 study committee determined that and it really came down to sort of a logistic thing. If Newfane and Brookline, who were already together in a joint contract board, if one said yes and one said no, it would really screw things up for running that elementary school because they would have 2 different opinions. So they had to come together. But everybody else, it was, we could do this with them or without them. And everyone voted to merge except Wyndham. Have I got them all, or did I miss?
And now tomorrow, are we voting on 2 different budgets? One, if we combine it, one,
No, we are combined. The combination happened. When the towns voted to merge, when the Act 46 merger vote took place, and this board was created, the merger was done. The towns of Newfane, Brookline, Jamaica, and Townsend are together in the West River Education District, until some other vote happens or something else. But, and the two budget votes tomorrow are just because some of the students in the elementary are educated with a different budget. So that town then doesn't vote just on that budget. But everything else, they get to vote on.
Basically, Wyndham has its own elementary school budget, so therefore they don't need to vote on one. They're just voting on the high school budget.
Thanks, yeah. I don't know.
I am? Okay.
Question. Wondering if I could get an explanation of the difference in the figures between Article 5 and Article 7 and Article 6 and Article 8.
Article 5 and 6 were the...
The difference in the figures between Article 5 and 7 and the difference between Article 6 and 8.
Right. Articles 5 and 6 were the old Leland and Gray numbers that we had plugged in, and then the Articles 7 and 8 were articles that this board discussed, because those are essentially back pay and there wasn't a lot going on.
I could have guessed that, Joe.
The differences are because there's substantially more, there's significantly more work involved, especially for a clerk and a treasurer. We're probably going to have, we're going to have several Australian ballot votes that our clerk has to oversee and take care of. And the treasurer now is responsible for not only the Leland and Gray checks, but also the Newfane checks, the Townsend checks, and the Jamaica checks. So there's there's more work for those individuals than there was in the old days when they were just for a single school district. They're now doing the same work for multiple districts. And then there was a lot of discussion about the school directors, and we were patterning it off of some of the other merged districts where there were directors running, responsible for a lot larger schools, and figuring that they were doing a lot more work. So that was reflective of that. There are other districts that are quite a bit higher, and we went back and forth as a board about what we should recommend, and this was kind of the middle ground from what it used to be versus, the 2,500, 2,000 that we were seeing in some of the other districts for directors. There's also the thought that, maybe just that little bit more will encourage more participation. There's been a lot of school board vacancies because people aren't interested in doing it, and maybe if there's just that.
We do it for the big bucks.
Yeah, well, no, we don't. But maybe that makes you more able to afford being away and the travel and whatever it is. So, but those are the differences. It's primarily reflective of the more time and energy that those individuals, especially the clerk and the treasurer, are going to end up putting in the larger district.
Well, I have this a request. I'm wondering if next year, if it would be reasonable to ask to have both the warning and also the schedule of the hearing, the information meeting, the budget hearing, and this meeting included in the annual report.
The dates of the meetings? Okay. You're asking for the dates of the meeting to be in the annual report?
Yes.
The dates, the times, the place, and also the warning to be included in this.
If the warning can be ready by then.
They all know about that, don't we?
I'm making a note, if there's some sort of a time problem, we'll do the best we can to give you as much information as we can.
Because this document is made generally available, and I don't know, we got ours in the mail or town meeting or something like that, and some of this other stuff, I did not catch.
Right, I understand. I've made that note.
Thanks.
There won't be just one pass, but anybody? Right here? I mean, if you think of something, I come back. Anybody in the back here? Right in the back, come forward. Gary.
I just have a question about the votes, between Articles 10 and 11, there are two separate votes for PK6 and the 7 through 12. So what happens if one of those articles is voted down and one of them is not?
We have
Because
to.
it's not enacted.
Right. We have to redo the article that would be voted down.
Revisit and make adjustments.
Address, yeah, I mean, it's address that portion of the budget.
So I just want to make sure, because it's not a whole.
Right.
Joanna, I have a question about the Act 46. The purpose, one of the purposes was to save money. But all I see here, is there some place I can find a comparison from this proposed budget to what it was? I looked in there, is it in there?
Is that a comparison?
So, yeah, so, we can't hear you.
pretty loud.
No.
So on the board's website, there is a comparison of in total. So the comparison that I pulled together was all of the fiscal year 19 separate budgets compared to this fiscal year 20. And I can get that for you. I can email it to you, but it is on the board's website.
Isn't it in here, Lori?
Oh, it is in the
Page 14.
page 14.
It's page 14 in there.
Page 14.
14.
Page 14.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Did that answer your
At
question?
the top, page 14, at the top right here.
Wait, you got more to say?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. Wait, I'm going this way.
That's clear.
I'll come back.
Terry Gabesenberg, I just, back to Sam's question between Articles 10 and 11. So currently the budgets are separated and grade 6 is still included in pre-K through 6 and not included in 7 to 12, even though the proposal is to move 6th grade to the high school. Okay, thank you.
Everybody got? The answer is yes. Coming over there, coming back. Oh, do you have something to say about this?
Well, it actually goes back to
Sixth grade
Sam,
teacher,
so I
hang on.
have a clarifying question.
Huh?
It goes
Wait.
back to Sam, what she said.
Okay, just
Sorry.
answer
Yes.
quick.
So I was at the meeting on Monday for the budget, and when I asked that same question, I was told that both of them would have to be reconsidered because it's one budget. So I just want to make sure that I really understand what I'm voting on. Because I asked if one was voted down, what would happen, and it was repeated that it was one budget.
Separate articles.
The article that fails, right? But it's, I mean, it is one budget.
Correct.
You want to,
This is going in red.
So, I think you're correct from both evenings. The only reason that it is pre-K through 6 is because that is required by the Articles of Agreement. So the budget was built pre-K through 12, and then it was split simply to amend itself to match the Articles of Agreement. So the pre-K through 6 was not built as an independent budget, and the 7 through 12 was not built as an independent budget. So Joe is correct that if one of them gets voted down, that is the one that would have to be revisited. But you are correct in that on Monday night, it is an entirety of a budget. So they're both going to affect each other, even though only one of them would actually have to be revoted on.
It's not like you're preserving
Exactly.
the budget for the elementary if the high school vote. Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
helpful?
I
Okay.
just wanted to clarify.
Good. Thank you. Should be good.
In other years, I've understood that when we did the per equalized pupil, that there was some indication of what the increase was, so that it was a 2% or a whatever percent. Now, as I look at this, if what she said over here means that those 6th graders are going to go up to the, and they are going up to the Leland grade, then are we dealing with those 6th graders at a $22,828 per equalized pupil as compared to them being $17,457? And somewhere those thousands of dollars seem quite increased from last year's amount. If I remember right, it was in the vicinity of 14,000 and we thought, wow, that's, getting up there. So minimum, we've got about 17,500 and then maximum 22,800.
Yeah, right. Explanation coming. Yeah.
All right, I'll give it a shot. So The reason that there's no comparison is because there is no comparison to make, because it was a pre-K through 12 budget that was artificially split to match the Articles of Agreement. So there is no pre-K through 6 budget that would match the services being provided in the world that will begin July 1st.
To me, anyway.
So if, maybe a better way to put it is, had we not had to do a separate pre-K through 6 because one of the member districts runs a independent elementary school, you would just see one pre-K through 12 budget and there would be no comparison because, does that make sense? So that's the first question, is that's why there's no comparison to that. And then the numbers of 17,457 and 22,828 don't have a comparable either because, again, it's a pre-K through 12 budget only artificially separated to match the Articles of Agreement. So the level of services are not split out pre-K through 6. They're done by the 49-51 population split, but not by a services split.
About the 6th graders.
So the 6th graders are part of the pre-K through 12 budget, and the services being provided to 6th graders, and the services being provided to 8th graders, and the services being provided to pre-K are in the whole thing. Take the total amount of money, and then you split it 49-51% out of the entire budget. So there's really no comparable. I'm sorry, but it's confusing.
But there will be next year.
Absolutely.
Okay, we invented. Wait, okay. I shouldn't have said that. So to me, it seems like we reinvented something. We invented something that there is no animal to compare it with yet.
So if next year we are able to provide one budget of pre-K through 12, we can take the total sum and the total equalized pupils and come up with an equalized pupil cost from this year. Then we would present an FY21 budget that would be able to compare across. However, not knowing what's going to happen with Wyndham, I can't promise you what next year's budget is going to look like.
Can you answer the question of why does this seem to be a much higher dollar figure per equalized pupil, or am I just remembering incorrectly?
The question is, why is the number for equalized pupil higher this year than it has been last year? Significantly higher. Okay.
So you are correct. From your budget that you had in Newfane and Brookline, the Newburgh budget, it is higher per pupil. I think you were at somewhere around 15.7 or 8, because you're averaging some of the other towns that were higher, and that's why it's higher.
So other towns were up to this kind of a figure?
Yes.
last year?
Go ahead.
Can I speak? I just wanted to say, I think what people are getting at, there was a number that was put out in the budget narrative that the overall combined budgets were 4.78% higher than all the budgets of last year. So I think that's what you're asking for, something like that, even though Bill's also right that page 14 in this, that Bill's also right, there's not a direct comparison, but that's all.
There's one right here. You have a question over here, and I'll come back over there. Did you have a question?
Guy Tanza from Brookline. One question I had is the $22,800 some odd dollars put the school district in a penalty situation, and how much of a penalty is that?
Okay, they're all coming at me now. Okay. No, wait. Okay, guys.
It's not a football game.
All right. So,
That's not on.
whoop, and it's not on. Is that on now? No.
We'll press and hold for a second.
Okay, so the penalty, the threshold was 18,311. So anything over that is a penalty where you pay double taxation. There are some exclusions that we were able to take off of that, so it's about $1,100.
Okay, so that's going to the taxpayers.
That will be passed on to the taxpayers.
So, another increase.
So really, that's
Hello? I want to give everybody a rest for a second and go to Article 12.
with that
Oh.
deep voice.
Really, I sing it too. No. Anyway, the $450,000 all of a sudden appeared. Now we need a wood boiler. How come there was no capital savings over the period of time? We're now going to have to spend $90,000 a year under a 5-year plan. All of a sudden we need a boiler? Or you know, when did this occur? When did you all find out that all of a sudden things were going downhill in a hurry? To be financed over a period of not to exceed 5 years, but there's no percentage.
So I'll do the best I can in answering how we got into this position. So the boiler's been in this building for 25 plus years with a operating life expectancy of about 20 years. So the boiler has been experiencing difficulties, and the Leland Gray Board has been discussing this boiler for quite some time. One of the challenges that we face every year putting a budget together is keeping that tax rate down, getting a budget that the voters will approve, and unfortunately, it has landed us in a position where we have significant quantities of deferred maintenance. One of those deferred maintenance items is Leland and Gray's boiler. That's only one. We've identified a large amount of deferred maintenance that we're already working on, and eventually we'll be coming back to the taxpayers and asking for funds to repair not only this building, but all of the buildings that are the responsibility of this board. So years of kind of kicking that can down the road are catching up to us. And at this point, we have the maintenance staff at Leland and Gray on days actually shoveling wood chips into the boiler like an old steam furnace to try to keep this building warm. We spent many days, Bob, with our boiler down here and having to operate on our backup oil boiler in order to keep this building warm. And that's why we're coming now, is because it really has kind of become a crisis.
The building operations has increased $332,000. Some of that is what you're talking, part of that is deferred maintenance as well, other than the separate article?
Yes, it is, Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Also, I just wanted to add on to what Drew said. There is also grant money out there that will be going away at the end of this year. So it's about $150,000. So the timing is right to get this done.
Sorry, Lori. So if we don't approve this, so if you don't approve this, you'll lose the grant money. Now, the $450,000 is not the cost of the boiler. The boiler is more than that. It's plus $150,000.
See if I can get the question you remember again. With the elementary school, the cost of the elementary school, staff, etc., have been the same if we had, where the school is dropping out, been part of the district. In other words, if we had if we right now we're looking at the cost of having 4 towns having an elementary school, would the cost have been the same number of teachers, outside of the lunch budgets might have been up, but would it have cost us the same to have those 5 schools together as opposed to 4?
Let me see if I understand your question correctly. So we built a pre-K through 12 budget operating 4 elementary schools, and you're asking if we built a pre-K through 12 budget operating 5 elementary schools.
3 elementary schools.
5 towns, sorry. 3, we're operating 3, we built the budget, operating 3 physical elementary buildings. And you're wondering if we built a budget operating 4 elementary buildings, would it be the same budget that we're presenting tonight?
My assumption was that some of the physical locations would have been combined.
So that would not happen because only a town can decide to choose to not operate their building as a school. And so that will be a longer term discussion by individual towns making those individual decisions, and that could not have happened in this current timeline.
Thanks.
You bet.
Lynn Forrest, you think?
Sorry, it breaks over.
I'm studying. I'll reconsider votes.
I understand the complication of these 2 articles, 10 and 11, so I have to go back to those 2. And I appreciate the fact that it's really based on one budget. However, if one of those articles gets voted down, and we know that that is all kind of intertwined with the elementary budget, what are you asking the voters to vote on? Is the whole budget then down? If one of those goes down, is the whole budget been defeated? And if not, then you really are only revisiting and you're asking the voters to vote on one article which could potentially be high school or the elementary pre-K through 6. Is that correct? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
So, in my role as superintendent, but not as a board member, knowing that it is the responsibility of the board to run a pre-K through 12 operation, if either of these articles, 10 or 11, were to be voted down, I would strongly recommend that the board look at a complete redesign of the budget in response to the public's comments.
Now he's doing another school.
Because, okay.
How do you do that? I wonder if the articles then are written appropriately to that exact response.
The articles are written how the board had to provide them based on the articles of agreement. But there are many things in a pre-K through 12 system that flow throughout a pre-K through 12 cost that you cannot separate out. The superintendent cannot spend any time at Leland and Gray because he's already spent his percentage of time in the elementary schools, and the academic support teacher cannot do this, and the band teacher can't do this. You have system-wide interoperability. And so yes, it would be very confusing and disappointing if either of these articles were voted down. It would be a great challenge of the board, but the board is following their articles of agreement, which they have to do. And it would be a great challenge and a very interesting Thursday for all of us.
I'm not, suggesting one way or the other. I know that all the work that has gone into this. I just, as the devil's advocate, just keeping in mind that that could be a potential for further confusion, which we hope you don't have to deal with.
Okay.
So next year, we probably won't have these articles. It'll be just one budget. We hope. Maybe. Depends on the court cases, but whatever. Am I right?
The odds are much better next year. That we would not have 2
Well, that's a
separate
pain
budgets.
in the neck. But anyway, not to support you too much, Bill. But I just wanted to state an obvious thing and tell me if I'm out of line. It seems like page 14, I know everybody's splitting the articles up and have these separate interests. I understand all that. But as a person that's looking at the whole package, the whole deal, I see that the budget's going $538,000 next year.
Correct.
And basically, You've made some cuts, some probably forced and some not, I would assume. But the two areas that are causing a major increase are special ed and what that gentleman said about the building operations. Am I right?
That would be a factual statement.
Okay, so we're kind of splitting hairs here, don't you think?
Anytime the citizens have questions,
Yeah,
we are here
I'm
to
with you.
answer.
Go ahead, Guy. You're going to beat me up. Go right for it. We do a sales select board.
Well, the only question I have is that if, let's just say the budget's passed and so forth, and we're hoping that happens, but if the $450,000 is also approved, that $450,000 will be added to the additional money to the budget?
No.
Or is that a separate? That $450,000 is?
It allows us to go out for a bond to fund the furnace.
Okay, but it's a 5-year bond through the, I guess, through the state of Vermont bond.
Wherever we get the best rate.
Okay.
Bond bank or the bank.
We need the voters' permission to go out and get it.
Yeah.
Can't hear you guys.
But those
Most likely it's
payments,
bond bank.
but even if it's bonded, that payment's gonna have to come out of the budget?
And it's figured into the budget right now.
Is that, I'm sorry, is that?
That's part of the 330.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand it. It's a part of the 335. Oh, I thought it to be separate because it's a separate article.
Good question.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Seeing no further questions.
No, no.
That's how I get more questions. If I say no more questions.
Yeah, very brief. Really, I'm sorry, not a question, but I know this board has put in a tremendous amount of work along with the administration. I know this process goes back at least 5 years. So I just wanted to show my appreciation for what these folks have done for our communities. I know it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of difficulty around what will be the ultimate outcome based on courts, based on legislation, based on voter approval, and to deal with that uncertainty, but stay focused on what I did read in the annual report around the investment in programs and learning. The new report was very detailed about the initiatives that are going on. So I just wanted to express my appreciation for that, and I hope you continue the good work.
You only allowed to speak twice, Laura.
Oh, come on. This is fast anyway. So the $90,000, I look at $90,000 because it's, I'm sorry, excuse me. I don't know my own power, but anyway. You're talking $450,000 to finance for Article 12 over the course of 5 years. So how much of the building operations is that money? Is $90,000 a year? Or is it roughly?
Yeah.
See the room.
So there's other money in the 332, 90 of it is for the furnace, and then I believe
I'm sorry, excuse me, finish what you said.
I believe it was around $100,000 was for deferred maintenance for the other buildings, or the 4 buildings, including Leland and Gray, and then there is also some money for long-term capital planning, as far as, I think, hiring a consultant and looking at the long-term capital needs of all of the buildings.
Okay, thank you. We'll take another one. Okay.
Quick follow-up on that question. On page 16, it lists secondary debt service. Does the interest that would be on the bonds included in the debt service?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. Your answer's now.
$50,000 increase in food service costs, that's for all schools, all.
District-wide.
District-wide.
And that allows us to feed every child in every building and staff.
District-wide, feeding every child and every
2 meals a
staff
day,
member 2 meals a day. You don't have a microphone.
Yeah, I know.
You should say this in the microphone, seriously. Oh, thank you.
That 50,000 increase in the food budget is a district-wide food budget, so it's across all the 4 buildings that we operate, and it feeds everybody in the building, every student, every staff. Locally, yes, staff.
Staff does not give, staff.
They gotta pay.
We feed them.
Okay, well, they
They have the opportunity.
and it's nutritious, locally grown. I mean, our chef is going to be gardening and I thought it was staff too, sorry. I'm
Staff is
wishful
local,
thinking.
staff is also.
But it does feed every kid. You know, so there's no more free or reduced qualifying, paying, whatever. It's just 2 meals a day, everybody gets breakfast
And it comes out to less than $100.
For the whole year?
Yes,
whole year.
the whole year.
What a bargain, what a deal, right?
That's right. Now, the federal government subsidizes some of that food money.
Yes, there's federal government money in there. The 50,000 is what we estimate it will cost over and above to take care of the kids who are not subsidized in any way.
So that $50,000 actually represents the people who do not qualify for the federal amount of money.
Yes.
Yes here, but nobody heard the question. John, go.
I guess my question is that the federal government supplies X amount of dollars to the school district for the students who are qualified for the free lunches. The $50,000 is going to go to the students who do not qualify for that free lunch. So the taxpayers will be paying their share.
It makes
Yes
it,
and no.
yes. Well, yeah, yes and no. I mean, it makes it so that every student eats, but the one who doesn't qualify by $25 now, it means that takes away some of the stigma of the qualification and everything, and it just makes it uniform across. And since it's, you know, nutritious, healthy food, it's just going to relieve that stress from the students and feed them. But yeah, it is feeding kids who would normally not qualify under the federal guidelines.
Okay.
I would just like to say I'm very proud that we're doing this. This is one of the reasons that Vermont is such a special state, that we take care of all of our children and make sure they're ready to learn all the time. I'm very proud of the board for doing this. No, from Brooklyn.
Great.
I would just point out that when we say that we get money from the federal government's us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we are municipal, state, and federal taxpayers.
Nothing is entirely free.
Seeing no other discussion, I think we did the reconsideration correctly, except the second didn't need to be on the prevailing side, and it was only a majority vote, not a two-thirds vote. So I apologize for that. And then whether or not we can reconsider a privileged motion as to adjournment, well, people on the TV call me and tell me that I did it wrong. Yes, sir.
I move we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
Second. Are you sure?
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And in the future, as soon as they hear the word adjourn, if you don't want to adjourn, yell. That's all. Okay.
That way we don't adjourn if we get